Alright, let's talk about the gaming scene in 2007. Ubisoft was like the rock star of the industry back then. Now, a lot of gamers are revisiting that era, reflecting on what went down in 2007. It's not just nostalgia, there's a vibe going on, and people are talking.
Start clear!
Back in the late 2000s, Ubisoft was riding high on the success train. Think about Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six Vegas, and the birth of the beloved Far Cry series. Yeah, that was Ubisoft's golden era, and gamers were hooked. Fast forward to today and people are revisiting these classics, reminiscing about the glory days of Ubisoft's triumph in the gaming world. It's like opening a time capsule and rediscovering the gems that made Ubisoft a household name among gamers. Now, Assassin's Creed 1. Released in 2007, the first Assassin's Creed was a groundbreaking title that took gamers on a historical adventure like never before. The game introduced the Animus, a device allowing players to relive the memories of their ancestors. The sprawling open-world cities, notably Jerusalem, Acre, and Damascus, were a revelation. Players could climb almost any structure, creating a sense of verticality rarely seen in games. The combat system, though somewhat repetitive, was a fresh take, emphasizing counterattacks and fluid movements. The blend of historical fiction with real-world events captivated players, making them feel like they were a part of an immersive historical narrative. Building on the success of its predecessor, Assassin's Creed 2, released in 2009, elevated the franchise to new heights. Set in Renaissance Italy, the game featured a charismatic protagonist, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. The narrative was rich with conspiracy, revenge, and Templar intrigue. One of the game's innovations was the introduction of a more expansive and interactive world. Players could swim, use a broader range of weapons, and engage in a diverse set of missions. The economic system, where players managed their villa and income, added depth to the gameplay. Both games introduced a parkour system that set the standard for future open-world titles. The series became synonymous with climbing tall structures and executing breathtaking leaps of faith. Innovation wasn't confined to gameplay. The storytelling and historical accuracy became integral to the series' identity. The use of real historical figures and events, combined with the sci-fi elements of the modern-day conflict between assassins and Templars, created a unique blend of fiction and reality. Ezio Auditore da Firenze, the charismatic protagonist introduced in Assassin's Creed 2, proved to be a monumental success, leading to a series of games that showcased his compelling journey. Following the success of Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio returned in Brotherhood. The game expanded on the franchise by introducing a compelling multiplayer mode and refining the single-player experience. Set in Rome, players witnessed Ezio's quest for vengeance against the corrupt Borgia family. Brotherhood not only continued Ezio's story, but also allowed players to recruit and train fellow assassins, adding strategic depth to gameplay. The journey of Ezio reached its conclusion in Revelations. Set in Constantinople, the game explored the aging assassin's quest for knowledge and closure. It introduced the hook blade for advanced navigation and the intriguing tower defense minigame. Revelations not only tied up Ezio's narrative, but also connected it with Altair's story, providing a satisfying conclusion to two iconic assassins. Ezio's trilogy showcased Ubisoft's ability to create a compelling multi-game narrative within the Assassin's Creed universe. Players became deeply invested in Ezio's growth from a young Florentine noble to a seasoned assassin leader. The success of Ezio's saga solidified Assassin's Creed as a powerhouse franchise, demonstrating the industry's appetite for rich storytelling, historical settings, and memorable characters. The initial reception to Ezio's character was overwhelmingly positive. Fans were captivated by his charm, resilience, and the detailed narrative that unfolded through multiple games. However, as the sequels rolled out, a subtle weariness crept in. Players who once reveled in Ezio's adventures began to express concerns about the formulaic nature of the games. Ubisoft faced a delicate balance, how to maintain the essence of Ezio's character while injecting innovation into the gameplay mechanics. Some players felt that the subsequent titles, particularly Brotherhood and Revelations, adhered too closely to the established template, leading to a sense of stagnation in terms of gameplay innovation. In 2012, Ubisoft took a bold leap, shifting the Assassin's Creed series to an entirely new setting and time period with the release of Assassin's Creed 3. Departing from the Renaissance-era Europe, the game thrust players into the heart of the American Revolution during the late 18th century. The game's primary setting was colonial America, offering players a vast and dynamic landscape that included bustling cities, dense forests, and the American frontier. Players navigated the tumultuous events of the American Revolution, interacting with historical figures like George Washington and witnessing iconic moments such as the Boston Tea Party. Assassin's Creed 3 introduced a new protagonist, Connor Kenway Ratohenhake Ton, a half-Mohawk, half-British assassin. Connor's story was intricately woven into the historical fabric of the American Revolution, providing a fresh perspective on the ongoing conflict. The game brought substantial gameplay innovations, including a redesigned combat system and enhanced parkour mechanics. Naval warfare was introduced, allowing players to command a ship in epic sea battles. The frontier setting encouraged exploration and hunting, expanding the open-world experience. As Ubisoft navigated the changing tides of player expectations, the release of Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag proved to be a pivotal moment. Set against the backdrop of the golden age of piracy, the game marked a departure from the well-trodden paths of Ezio's Renaissance adventures. This departure was not only geographical, but also thematic, introducing naval exploration and a swashbuckling protagonist, Edward Kenway. Black Flag continued Ubisoft's tradition of crafting rich narratives within historical settings, but it added a fresh layer of innovation. The introduction of naval combat and exploration was a game-changer, injecting a new sense of freedom and adventure into the Assassin's Creed formula. Players could now sail the open seas, engaging in intense naval battles and exploring a vast Caribbean world. The gamble paid off handsomely. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag received critical acclaim for its engaging storyline, dynamic gameplay, and the seamless integration of naval elements. The success wasn't confined to positive reviews. Commercially, the game performed exceptionally well. It became a cornerstone in Ubisoft's portfolio, contributing significantly to the company's winning streak during that period. Black Flag demonstrated Ubisoft's adaptability and willingness to diversify the Assassin's Creed experience. The game's success showcased that the franchise could thrive beyond the confines of familiar historical settings and characters. It set a precedent for Ubisoft to explore diverse time periods and protagonists, expanding the series' reach and capturing the imagination of players with each installment. Ubisoft's winning streak continued to gain momentum with the release of Far Cry 3, a game that not only redefined the open-world first-person shooter genre, but also added another jewel to Ubisoft's crown. Far Cry 3, released in 2012, was a critical and commercial triumph. It introduced players to the lush and dangerous Rook Islands, blending a gripping narrative with open-world exploration and emergent gameplay. The game's charismatic antagonist, Vas Montenegro, became iconic, and the expansive world encouraged players to venture off the beaten path. During this period, Ubisoft wasn't just hitting high notes with the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry franchises. Titles like Watch Dogs, The Division, and Rainbow Six Siege showcased the company's diverse portfolio and ability to deliver compelling experiences across different genres. Each game contributed to Ubisoft's reputation as a powerhouse in the gaming industry. However, this era was not without its controversies. With the release of Assassin's Creed Unity in 2014, microtransactions were introduced, marking a notable shift in Ubisoft's approach to monetization. While microtransactions weren't a new concept in the industry, their inclusion in a full-price title like Unity sparked criticism from players who felt it disrupted the immersive experience and raised concerns about the increasing trend of monetization in AAA games. The introduction of microtransactions in Unity marked the beginning of a trend that would sow seeds of discontent among players. Many felt that microtransactions detracted from the essence of the game, introducing an unwelcome pay-to-win element. This move signaled a shift in the industry's monetization landscape and became a point of contention in discussions about the balance between player experience and publishers' financial interests. Ubisoft's decline became more evident with the release of Assassin's Creed Unity in 2014. Despite the visual splendor of 18th century Paris, the game was marred by technical issues, including numerous bugs and performance problems. The rocky launch led to a significant backlash from players and critics alike, tarnishing the once shining reputation of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Following Unity, Ubisoft faced a series of challenges that eroded its fundamental strengths. A key issue was the perceived formulaic approach to game development, especially within established franchises. Players began to notice a lack of innovation and risk-taking, with subsequent titles feeling more like incremental updates rather than bold steps forward. Ubisoft's decline was further exacerbated by a sense of stagnation and over-reliance on established formulas. Games like Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Far Cry Primal failed to capture the imagination in the same way their predecessors had. The open-world formula that once felt fresh started to show signs of fatigue, as players experienced a sense of déjà vu with each new release. The erosion of Ubisoft's fundamentals also manifested in quality control issues. Games were released with persistent bugs, sometimes overshadowing the merits of the gameplay and narrative. This lack of polish further eroded player trust and contributed to the perception that Ubisoft was prioritizing release schedules over delivering a polished, immersive experience. Perhaps most detrimental to Ubisoft's standing was the noticeable lack of innovation. Franchises that once pushed boundaries, such as Assassin's Creed, seemed to be playing it safe. The excitement that came with each new installment dwindled as players yearned for fresh experiences rather than refined iterations of the same formula. In essence, Ubisoft's decline wasn't solely tied to the missteps of a single game like Unity, but reflected a broader issue within the company. The erosion of its fundamentals, marked by formulaic game design, quality control problems, and a lack of innovation, contributed to a palpable sense of disappointment among fans. The once revered game developer was at a crossroads, facing the challenge of redefining itself and reclaiming the innovative spirit that had fueled its earlier successes. The Far Cry series, known for its lush open-world environments and engaging first-person gameplay, has seen a notable evolution since its inception. Far Cry 3, released in 2012, marked a high point in the series with its tropical setting, compelling narrative, and memorable antagonist, Vas Montenegro. Far Cry 3 is often considered the apex of the series. Its success lay in a perfect blend of immersive storytelling, a vast and varied open world, and gameplay mechanics that allowed for both strategic planning and chaotic action. The character of Vas, with his memorable quotes and unpredictable nature, became an iconic figure in gaming. Subsequent Far Cry titles, however, struggled to live up to the benchmark set by Far Cry 3. While they maintained the series' open-world formula and often introduced intriguing settings, there was a noticeable pitfall in terms of innovation. Far Cry 4, Far Cry Primal, and even Far Cry 5, while technically sound, failed to capture the same level of excitement and freshness that Far Cry 3 had achieved. The disappointment reached a peak with Far Cry Primal, a departure from the traditional setting and gameplay mechanics. Placing players in a prehistoric world with primitive weapons and limited storytelling, Primal failed to resonate with fans. The lack of firearms, a staple of the series, and a more generic narrative contributed to a sense of fatigue among players. Recent entries in the Far Cry series have faced criticism for a perceived lack of innovation. Far Cry 5 and its spin-offs, while offering expansive worlds and diverse environments, felt more like incremental updates rather than groundbreaking entries. The absence of a revolutionary leap in gameplay mechanics or storytelling left fans yearning for the days of Far Cry 3, where the protagonist was more relatable, unlike the recent protagonists, with little to none character development serving a generic purpose. As the series continued, concerns grew about the Far Cry franchise's ability to rekindle the magic of Far Cry 3. The lack of risk-taking and the adherence to a familiar formula became a double-edged sword. While providing a sense of comfort for longtime fans, it also contributed to a growing sentiment that the series was treading water rather than pushing the boundaries of what open-world gaming could achieve. Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege emerged as a phoenix in the world of tactical shooters, redefining the genre with its debut in 2015. Its strategic depth, destructible environments, and evolving gameplay have not only sustained but flourished over time. Regular updates featuring new operators and maps have transformed Siege into a lasting success, proving Ubisoft's prowess in reinvigorating a franchise. However, the success of Rainbow Six Siege has not been uniformly replicated across the broader Rainbow Six franchise. Once revered titles like Rainbow Six, Vegas 2, which excelled in immersive single-player experiences, have faded into the background. Siege's emphasis on multiplayer gameplay has somewhat overshadowed the franchise's diverse offerings, revealing a need for innovation and diversity within the Rainbow Six series. On the flip side, Rainbow Six Extraction, introduced as a spin-off in 2022, failed to capture the same enthusiasm as its predecessor. The cooperative alien-themed shooter received mixed reviews, with criticism centered on its repetitive gameplay and departure from the tactical roots that defined Siege. The community, accustomed to the depth of Siege, found Extraction lacking in both innovation and engagement, marking a setback for the Rainbow Six universe. Ubisoft's neglect of once iconic franchises, Splinter Cell and Rainbow Six Vegas, has left fans yearning for the return of these classics. Splinter Cell, known for its innovative stealth mechanics and compelling narratives, has been notably absent from recent lineups. The silence surrounding the future of the series has only intensified fans' desire for a stealthy comeback with Sam Fisher. Similarly, Rainbow Six Vegas, celebrated for its engaging narrative and intense tactical gameplay, seems to have been eclipsed by the multiplayer-focused Siege. The absence of new titles in these classic series leaves a void in Ubisoft's portfolio, prompting fans to question the company's commitment to the diverse gaming experiences that once defined its success. The Assassin's Creed series, once a paragon of historical stealth and action, witnessed a shift with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. While visually stunning, the game drew criticism for deviating from the series' roots, embracing RPG elements, and introducing expansive open-world exploration. The departure from the stealth-focused, parkour-driven gameplay left some fans longing for the series' earlier narrative and gameplay simplicity. Assassin's Creed Valhalla continued the trend, exploring a Viking setting on an epic scale, but facing criticism for bloated narratives and a lack of meaningful innovation. The series, once defined by its grounded approach, now grapples with superhuman abilities and combat systems that feel disconnected from its historical roots. This departure raises concerns among fans about the series losing touch with its original identity, prompting a discordant reception. Ubisoft's journey through the gaming landscape has been marked by the controversial presence of microtransactions, creating a nuanced relationship between player experience and financial success. Microtransactions, small in-game purchases that offer cosmetic items, boosts, or other enhancements, have become a pervasive element in Ubisoft's titles, both single-player and multiplayer. The aggressive integration of microtransactions into Ubisoft games has faced widespread criticism from players and industry observers alike. The concern centers around the potential impact on game balance, as some titles seem to prioritize revenue streams over the integrity of the gaming experience. In single-player games, the intrusion of microtransactions can undermine the sense of accomplishment and immersion by offering shortcuts to in-game progress. While these microtransactions have been a significant source of revenue for Ubisoft, they come at a cost, eroding player trust and eliciting pushback from the gaming community. The challenge lies in finding a delicate balance between financial success and player satisfaction. The temptation to monetize various aspects of a game can inadvertently tarnish the player's perception of fairness, turning what was once an engaging experience into a transactional affair. Financially, Ubisoft's reliance on microtransactions has proven successful, contributing substantially to the company's revenue. However, the tightrope walk between maximizing profits and maintaining player goodwill remains precarious. Striking this balance is crucial for the longevity of Ubisoft's success, as a disgruntled player base can have lasting repercussions on the company's reputation. Moving away from the microtransaction-heavy business model poses its own set of challenges. Ubisoft, like many in the industry, faces the dilemma of finding alternative revenue streams that don't compromise player experience. The transition away from a microtransaction-centric approach requires careful planning and innovation, with a focus on creating value for players beyond the immediate transaction. So, we've been with the Assassin's Creed series from day one, and let me tell you, Mirage, not great. I'd even put it below the Altair remake and Liberty. They tried, really they did, but it feels more like an overpriced DLC for Valhalla than a full game. You blaze through the single location in no time, and it leaves you missing the good old days of exploring vast landscapes. Let's talk gameplay. Combat? Yeah, it sucks. They push for more stealth, which is cool, but where are the RPG elements? Mirage comes up short with only about 50 skills, compared to Valhalla's 250. Choices, anyone? The attempt to mix Altair's vibes with Valhalla's mechanics? Clumsy at best. Climbing ain't what it used to be, and bugs. Just as many as Valhalla, which is baffling given Mirage is way smaller. The story? Dry and predictable. Basim, our guy, deserved more depth. And why strip us of archery, melee variety, and weapon selection? Now, we're stuck with a saber and a dagger. Ezio would be shaking his head. In a nutshell, Mirage falls flat. It struggles to capture what made the earlier games so damn good. It's like they forgot what made Assassin's Creed, well, Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft stands at a crossroads. Learning from past missteps, especially in terms of innovation and fan engagement, will be crucial. The lure of microtransactions must be balanced with player satisfaction. Ubisoft's future success hinges on a return to creativity, acknowledging community sentiments, and revitalizing cherished franchises. Only time will tell if they can steer their ship back to smoother waters.